West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy with Chef Justice Putnam. Netrootsradio.com.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël.
Ms. Green, for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order. It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so you
You
don't
just
want to
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to
Ms.
get
Crockett,
clarification.
you're not
You don't wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games.
Crockett.
I can't hear you with your
And
yelling.
You don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
Chair.
I don't know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognize.
That was Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett slamming Marjorie Taylor Greene, and things had gotten out of control in the Oversight Committee last night. What happened was these MAGA Republicans, they spent their day at Donald Trump's criminal trial. They were all dressed up in the little outfits that Donald Trump put on them with their red ties, as the Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called it. The Red Tie Brigade showed up at Donald Trump's criminal trial to attack witnesses and attack the judge's daughter. And then the MAGA Republicans returned to the House of Representatives, where they were holding a committee hearing to go after Merrick Garland and to finally get I don't know what they're even doing. But Marjorie Taylor Greene used her time first to attack Jasmine Crockett, Democratic Congresswoman, and Marjorie Taylor Greene made a comment about Congresswoman Crockett's eyelashes, and then that's why Democratic Congresswoman Crockett responded the way she did. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene did to kind of set this all off in the hearing. Play this clip.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising. Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
you
please
ordering.
regain
That's
order
beneath
of
even
your
you.
committee?
Order.
Please.
There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
And so when Marjorie Taylor Greene did that, AOC and the other Democratic members were absolutely livid. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene just showing her total lack of any morals and lack of professionalism to start that way. She opened the door for Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett to then kind of go after her. And, AOC's like, you should apologize, and said to James Comer, who leads the Oversight Committee, you need to strike those words. And then James Comer's like, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm okay with Marjorie Taylor Greene behaving that way. So that's why Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett said what she said. Here's what AOC said. Play this clip.
Okay. Ms. Greene agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to apologize.
recognizes
No.
Mr. Perry.
She needs to
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Greene
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty
No,
self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
out
not.
of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to strike those
the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
I would like
Order.
The lady's
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the words.
There's another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's the
control.
correct apology. Ms. Greene, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection.
Not apologizing.
Chair
Reserving the right
recognizes-
And here you can hear AOC or hear her on the hot mic basically saying, we're going to teach her a lesson. We're going to teach Marjorie Taylor Greene a lesson. Play this clip.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's all it is.
She's not used
She
to
doesn't
people
wanna
talking
say-
back to
She
her.
doesn't want to say sorry to nobody for nothing. She's going to learn.
And AOC has absolutely had it with Marjorie Taylor Greene's outburst. Listen to this.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend.
physical
Meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl? I don't think
we are gonna move, and we're gonna take your words down.
I second that motion.
So while all of this is going on, you then have the Democrats' ranking member, Jared Raskin, reading an email sent out from Comer attempting to fundraise off of this, whatever this bizarro hearing. Here, play this clip.
But now it seems, Mr. Chairman, I just got past something that the whole obstruction gimmick may just be a fundraising ploy, which demeans the overwhelming legal integrity and impressive theatrical ambitions of this enterprise. I was just handed a mass fundraising email solicitation for your campaign that you sent out this evening, Mr. Chairman, stating that, quote, Biden and his advisors are terrified that I will release the recordings, forcing the media and Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. This could be the final blow to Biden with swing voters across the country. The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. Signed, James Comer, Chairman, House Oversight Committee. Now, I must confess my disappointment to be handed this fundraising solicitation signed by you as chairman of the House Oversight Committee. I thought that you were serious about the legal enterprise here and not just another political huckster calling hearings to score cheap political points and to make a buck.
Then you have Democratic Congress member Jared Moskowitz challenging Comer to schedule an impeachment of President Biden. Watch what Moskowitz does. Play this clip.
So again, Mr. Chairman, since you think this is the final blow, right? And obviously the chairman of Judiciary is here too. We only have June, July, and September before the election. We're not here in August and October. So, I mean, I'm sure the American people are paying attention at 11:30 p.m. where you buried this hearing because it's so important. When are we going to do the impeachment of Joe Biden? When is that going to happen? Is it going to be June? Is it going to be July? Is it going to be September? Let's just put it on the calendar. Let's just put it on the calendar. Pick a month. We're available. We were available at 11 a.m. You guys weren't. Just pick a month, right? So we can get it on the calendar and do the impeachment. So hold on. I'll give you choices. Ready? June. July. How about September? Okay. So we're never going to schedule this thing. It's never going to happen. He's sending out more subpoenas because he has no evidence. Okay. And yet here we go around and around and around. And so we get it. You'll raise money off of it. Congratulations to you.
And then as Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin tries to speak, Marjorie Taylor Greene interrupts him. Play this clip.
An avowedly low budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production, which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about. But tonight, with the cast and crew now fresh back from a surprise
You mean
trip
like
to
the
New York
January
City,
6th committee?
Stop it.
I'd like my time restored to me, Mr. Chairman.
Order. Chair recognizes ranking member.
Okay.
Order.
Well, tonight with the cast and crew.
Then this is one of the best parts here where Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin says, all right, calm down. I guess our original performance was postponed when all you MAGA Republicans did that bizarre ritual with Donald Trump at his criminal trial. Here, play this clip.
Our originally scheduled performance was supposed to be at 11 a.m. today, but it was postponed when members of the majority chose to join a mass spiritual pilgrimage to the New York criminal trial of a Florida man, an adjudicated fraudster and rapist, as he faces 34 felony counts of falsifying corporate financial records to cover up $130,000 paid in hush money to a porn star sex partner. Now, although some people are churlishly complaining that members should actually be here to vote on public business and should not have forced a last-minute change in the committee schedule, our colleagues properly demonstrated for all of history their fierce devotion to this clearly reformed, devout, and pious Florida spiritual leader who many supporters are now calling the Messiah from Mar-a-Lago. Of course, in the meantime, Chairman Jordan in the House Judiciary
Will
Committee...
the gentleman yield?
Preempted. No, I'm in the middle
Sir,
of my
I appreciate
introduction.
that photo. It's a good photo.
Yeah.
I would like a copy of that. I'm with it.
Would you like a signed one, Raskin?
Yes,
Could you get your members in order, Mr. Chairman?
It's a great photo. I want a copy of it.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
In the meantime...
He called it a spiritual pilgrimage. And here, Jamie Raskin, Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin, calls these hearings the nighttime episode of Comer's High Crimes and Misadventures. Play this clip.
I now recognize the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, in this special nighttime episode, we resume the madcap comedy mystery series called Comer's High Crimes and Misadventures, the hilarious quest to impeach a president who has done nothing wrong, an avowedly low-budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production, which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about.
Then you had Democratic Congressmember Dan Goldman and Anna Paulina Luna exchanging words. Play this clip.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman. I think these 17-hour days might not work for us.
Something about working, huh?
Yeah, maybe showing up for a vote.
You have a lot to say, being that you're on retainer for the judge's daughter. Sorry, trust fund kid.
Mr. Chairman.
We should strike those words too.
I hope you brought your popcorn.
Mr. Chairman,
Strike
we have to
those
strike
after
those as
we
well.
strike the
Mr.
fact that they
Chairman.
called they were making comments about Marjorie's body. So we can do this all night long, but I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
at
this
the
is out of
desk I'd like to
control.
get.
We should adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion at the desk.
Mr. Chairman.
I think my body's pretty good. I'm going to be 50
Point of order.
this month. I am. I turned 50.
Mr. Chairman.
Pretty good.
Mr. Chair.
Anna Paulina Luna was earlier in the day taking selfies of herself and being at Donald Trump's criminal trial, which was just all so bizarre. Here is the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, then talking about how the MAGA Republicans he calls them the Red Tie Brigade, showing up at Donald Trump's criminal trial. Listen to this. Play this clip.
An avowedly low-budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production, which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about. But tonight, with the cast and crew now fresh back from a surprise
You mean
trip
like
to
the
New York
January
City,
6th committee?
Stop it.
I'd like my time restored to me, Mr. Chairman.
Order. Chair recognizes ranking member.
Okay.
Order. Order.
Well, tonight with the cast and crew.
And then Marjorie Taylor Greene interrupts Raskin with another outburst. Watch what Democratic Congressmember Raskin says. Play this clip.
Different congressional investigations and inquiries. And I know that pleases the gentlelady from Georgia because he issued...
I just want to hear Joe Biden. Why can't the American people hear him?
Order, Mr. Chairman. Get her under control.
President Trump issued an edict. No, I am glad that the gentlelady from Georgia is learning something tonight. Okay, the president. I encourage her to be a good listener, and she's been a good listener. So, Mr. Chairman, the last.
And this was from earlier today. What Democratic Congressmember Swalwell had to say. Play this clip.
Well, it's nice to see that some of my colleagues on the other side could make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York, but I know that the Oversight Committee canceled a hearing that was supposed to happen right now on this matter so that they could be at the president's trial. I know some members will miss this vote because they want to be at the president's trial, and I don't think that anything could animate the phrase "do nothing Congress" more than missing votes and canceling hearings to go up and be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. That is the definition of "do nothing Congress."
There you have it, folks. As I said, things were getting heated, and what MAGA's done to Congress is it's so humiliating and embarrassing. Anyway.
It is Friday, the 17th of May of 2024, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam, still suffering through a little bit of laryngitis. Still. Gunner is the English Bulldog, and of course, our snoozing sous chef. And Precious, the little Yorkie, is our door girl, and she will be seating you directly for our especially special daily special, Blue Moon Spirits Fridays, because you know that we are all night hawks in the diner of life. So we did it. We got the taglines out without too many creaks and raspy upper register anomalies. There. Okay, so I got to tell you, there's something about Marjorie Taylor Greene that I really dislike. I don't know what it is other than the fact that she's a boorish bitch. I am sorry, I don't like to use the B word, except I don't know what her other word describes what she is. Biatch. Don't you just love how MAGA will say, fuck your feelings, fuck your feelings, fuck your feelings. And then when you say, well, fuck yours, and they get so bent out of shape, how dare you? You use the F word. You're so unkind. You are hateful. They bait you, and then when you respond in kind, they basically are saying, you're a hypocrite. You're supposed to let us kick you. Oh, really? And that's why I've always said, they think they're kicking hippies. They're not. They're kicking punks, and punks kick back. All right. We're not being hypocritical. Okay? It is our M.O. F around. Find out. So that erupted into a lot of pettiness and exactly the way that MAGA likes it. They are ignorant. They don't care. They don't care to know. And they revel. They just revel in chaos. And I don't know. Well, that's being rhetorical. Of course I know. We all know. And I am pretty much of the mind that there's no way they're going to take over again. Absolutely no way. They could try. They've got the judiciary. I mean, hell, you got Alito out there flying, an upside-down flag, nation in distress. Well, that was the stop the steal symbol from the get-go. Let's not forget. All right? And I don't care if someone has an F Trump sign out. How many times have I had to put up with the FUCK Biden signs here in town. I mentioned this repeatedly on the way to the elementary school. The kids would have to walk through a gauntlet of the fuck Biden yard signs and big flags that cover their whole garages. And it was brought up at the city, and the city said, well, they have a First Amendment right. Yeah, sure they do. Family flies a pride flag, and some Goomba, not even a Goomba, he was a bubba, armed, went onto their property, had to unlatch a gate, went onto their property armed, and threatened them because they were flying a pride flag, and that's not allowed in a conservative town. Oh, and of course they got it all on tape, their Ring camera. And they posted it, and it went worldwide. And once again, my little town becomes infamous. What was the other incident that caused us to have some infamy? When it was reported on the town Facebook page that busloads of Antifa were coming to our little town of Rogue River, and they were going to block the bridge and hem us all in, and then they were going to take over. And so in response, a couple of hundred armed, there's no other word for it, KKK night riders showed up to protect the bridge from a non-existent busloads of Antifa. I mean, I mentioned it at the very beginning. This is where I came up with this whole idea, like, show me one Antifa club president on any high school campus, on any college, on any university, anywhere in the world. Please. They're going to organize busloads of Antifa. Oh, I forgot to mention there was some Black Lives Matter mixed in with it also, because black people scare people here. We elected Obama twice, and they will not ever let us forget it. People around here hated Obama. Not because of anything, well, because of everything. He was black. Community organizer. Well, what's wrong with that? I could never understand. What's wrong with a community organizer? I mean, don't we live in communities? What the hell is the Red Hat Club? What the hell is the Welcome Wagon? Remember when we had Welcome Wagons? That was an organization to welcome new people into the neighborhood. We don't want that anymore. Hell no. And then I get to hear about small town conservative values. What? Hateful, bigoted bullshit? How about small town liberal values, where we have the Welcome Wagon? Too woke. You want to embrace people. You want to bring them into the fold. How dare you? Yeah, I don't know. I'm an American. What's wrong with that? Okay. With the population of Russia decreasing as rapidly as it has been because of low birth rates and an exodus from Vlad, they have a lot of land there. They had a lot of land before that. There'll be plenty of room for all of our people to build their gated communities, and Vlad can then lock them up as he sees fit. Okay? And he will. Because trust me, everybody ends up at the rock pile. So, no negotiations with the guy. Don't give up the land. Don't give up our rights. And, I don't know. Maybe we need to have a little, trial and, I don't want to say purge, because that term has too much implications. But we certainly need to put a lock on the traitors who have been in collusion with a hostile foreign power to destroy the United States of America. How a Supreme Court justice can side with that openly. Can you imagine if any of the 3 liberal members of SCOTUS had a Biden bumper sticker? Well, trust me, somebody's going to come up and say, oh, well, they have copies of Marcus Garvey in their library. That just shows that they are partisan. Really? I mean, I'm serious. They're gonna bring up something like that because people who don't know who Marcus Garvey is, and when they find out he's black, and kind of a separatist too, let's be clear, they're gonna glom onto that and they are gonna push it because MAGA deplorables are ignorant bigots. They are. In fact, if you go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it'll show you which dictionary to go to find out that MAGA means ignorant, deplorable Nazi fucks. It says it right there. Okay. Am I making that up? Maybe. It's going to be there in the dictionary real soon. I'm going to see to it. Alrighty. Well, enough of that. We do have a curated part of the show for you, as you know, and all I need to do is get to it. Oh, there they are. Okay, I got the right tab. For some reason, I didn't close tabs last night. Now I've got a lot of tabs I need to get rid of. I will. Well, what do we have here in the Bistro Cafe on this fine Blue Moon Spirits Fridays? Old Merrick Garland punched back at House Republicans yesterday over their unfounded attacks on the U.S. Justice Department. You know, the chaos that erupted with Jasmine Crockett and God, that MTG lady. Oh, God, I hate her. Was because they're trying to impeach Merrick Garland. I don't know. For what? Going after treasonous, seditious insurgents? Yeah, maybe that's why. The Nevada Supreme Court denied an appeal of a conservative election fraud activist who sought to oust county election officials, and he didn't want to stop at just those either. And Google wants a judge rather than a jury to decide whether it violated U.S. antitrust laws, because the jury will say, absolutely. I mean, how else would they get to where they are? After the break, we move to the chef's table, where a Swedish court rejected Tesla's appeal in its dispute over labor unions in the Nordic country. And Italy's neo-fascist league wants to change the law and remove the European Union flag from all public offices. All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. That I would avoid any extraneous talking to save my voice. And look at all the extraneous talking I had at the opening. Well, that stated, we're going to just dive right into this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. And I should note that we are now allowing Reuters back in the fold. I had been not using them for a time because of a certain ownership problem and a few other things that were of questionable and dubious journalistic aspects. And but it looks like they've cleaned it up and have once again become the respected news source that they were known for so many decades. And this first offering here is by Andrew Goodsword and Sarah N. Lynch, of course, from Reuters. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland yesterday, Thursday, criticized what he called unfounded attacks on the Justice Department by congressional Republicans as he rejected their request for audio recordings of a special counsel interview with Joe Biden. In a letter to the chairman of the House of Representatives Judiciary and Oversight Committees, the Justice Department said the Biden administration was asserting executive privilege over the audio recordings of Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur over his retention of classified records. Garland criticized the series of political attacks House Republicans have launched on the DOJ and the justice system more broadly, as Trump faces 2 federal and 2 state criminal prosecutions. There have been a series of unprecedented and, frankly, unfounded attacks on the Justice Department, Garland told reporters in a hallway outside his office. We have gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure that the committees get responses to their legitimate requests, but this is not one. The House Judiciary Committee later advanced a measure that would hold Garland in contempt of Congress for failing to turn over the recordings. The full House would need to approve the measure before it would take effect. Hardline House Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's one nice way of putting it, in particular has called for Congress to cut funding to the DOJ's prosecutions of Trump for trying to overturn his 2020 election defeat and for retaining classified documents after leaving the White House so he can sell them to our enemies, which he has. A parade of prominent congressional Republicans, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, have appeared at Trump's ongoing hush money trial in New York State this week to criticize it as a politically motivated attempt to harm Trump's campaign. This case has been going on before he decided to run again. So let's be clear about that. The contempt votes could set up an awkward situation with the Republican-controlled House, calling on the Justice Department to act against its own Attorney General. The Attorney General must draw a line that safeguards the department from improper political influence, wrote Carlos Felipe Huerte, an Assistant Attorney General. The president is also claiming executive privilege over an audio recording of an interview with his ghostwriter, Mark Swanitzer. Garland appointed her last year to investigate Biden over his retention of classified records dating back to his time serving as vice president under Barack Obama. Her ultimately declined to pursue criminal charges, noting that Biden had cooperated with the probe in contrast to Trump, who stonewalled a similar inquiry. Trump is now facing federal charges for retaining classified records. Federal charges under the Espionage Act. Hur said Biden would appear to a jury as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory if the case was brought to trial. The remark fueled concerns about Biden's age as he runs for re-election and drew a furious response from the White House and Democrats. The Justice Department has already turned over a variety of records requested in congressional subpoenas that's been issued by Jim Jordan and James Comer in connection with the Hur investigation, including transcribed interviews. White House counsel Edward Siskel accused the committee's chairman in an open letter of seeking the tape recordings for political purposes. The absence of a legitimate need for the audio recordings, he wrote, lays bare your likely goal to chop them up, distort them, and use them for partisan political purposes. Press staff brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. A conservative activist who embraced unproven election fraud claims has lost an appeal to the Nevada Supreme Court in his bid to oust a top county election official and others. The High Court upheld a lower court judge's earlier dismissal of Robert Beadle's lawsuit, which claimed that Washoe County's Registrar of Voters, the county manager, and a county commissioner violated the state constitution by failing to respond to his complaints of fraud. Taking all the factual allegations in the complaint as true and drawing every inference in favor of Beadles, he can prove no set facts that would entitle him to relief as pleaded, the Supreme Court ruled. Beadles, who once briefly ran for Congress in California in 2010, has alleged that the election system is rife with flaws and irregularities that robbed him of his vote in 2020. Beadles lost an earlier lawsuit in state court in 2022 that sought heightened observation of Washoe's county's vote counting process. He has helped lead attempts to recall or otherwise oust numerous county officials since he moved to Reno from California in 2019. Oh, an outside agitator, but he's been there for a while. Washoe County, which includes Reno Sparks and the North Shore of Lake Tahoe, you know that's along the California line, is considered a swing county in the western battleground state of Nevada. Registered voters are divided roughly in equal thirds among Democrats, Republicans, and nonpartisans. The Supreme Court's ruling said Beadles misapplied a section of the Nevada Constitution guaranteeing the right to assemble and petition the legislature in his most recent lawsuit, which sought the removal of Jaime Rodriguez, then Washoe County Registrar of Voters, Eric Brown, the county manager, and Alexis Hill, a county commission chairwoman. Associated Press brings us this final offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Google yesterday, Thursday, asked that a judge, rather than a jury, decide whether it violated U.S. antitrust laws by building a monopoly on the technology that powers online advertising. To bolster its case, the tech giant wrote a multi-million-dollar check to the U.S. government that it says renders moot the government's best argument for demanding a jury trial. They're trying to buy off the judiciary. You know what? Just might work. The antitrust case, set to go before a jury in Alexandria, Virginia in September, is one of two major lawsuits the Justice Department has brought against Google. While the Virginia case focuses on advertising technology, an ongoing case in the District of Columbia focuses on Google's dominance as a search engine. Both sides in the D.C. case have presented evidence and made closing arguments. A judge will decide whether Google violated the law. Google wants a judge to decide the merits of the case in Virginia as well. The company argues in court papers that were filed yesterday that it is unprecedented for a jury to decide federal antitrust cases brought by the government. It says that this case in particular involves a complicated, intricate technology ecosystem, which DOJ has acknowledged by this court is highly technical, often abstract and outside the everyday knowledge of most prospective jurors. Well, it makes you think that a judge has any better grasp. They don't even know how to program their VCRs because they still have them. A Department of Justice spokesperson did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment. Google, based in Mountain View, California, makes two primary arguments for striking the government's demand for a jury trial. For starters, Google argues that the constitutional right to a jury trial does not apply to a civil suit brought by the government. The right to a jury trial based in the Bill of Rights protects citizens against the federal government, not the other way around. Google's lawyers write in their court filing, yeah, but when your company's bigger than the government, what then? The Department of Justice manufactured a damage claim at the last minute in an attempt to secure a jury trial in case even they describe as highly technical and outside the everyday knowledge of the most prospective jurors, the company said in a written statement. Google's filing said the company has cut a check to the government that is triple the amount of the losses the government can claim. The exact amount of the check is redacted, but in other court papers, Google said the maximum amount of damages the government was able to demonstrate during the discovery process was less than $1 million. Because the law allows antitrust damages to be trebled, the check amount would be less than $3 million. Google says it still disputes the damages are legitimate, but says that paying the government's claimed damages eliminates the need for a jury to decide the damages question. Nice little judiciary we bought off there. All right, that brings us to our break, and when we get back from that break, we will go through weather from around the world, and we will finish up with the stories that we've curated for you today. You were listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Clinton Johnston. This week, The Fallen Guys and Gals. It seems one of the hardest things to do in movies is to present believable relationships, not just in how people love each other, but why. And I get it. Why we fall in love is complicated and often not quick. You got less than 2 hours, so just tell us they love each other and leave the heart of the coupling or tripling or whatever a black box. Also, most movies are done by cishet men who, with relationships, are most interested in talking about desire, acquiring them, or maintaining them, and not about the guts of why you bother in the first place. This hand-waving has worked less and less for me as time has gone on. Take last week's movie Challengers. I got that the trio's relationship dominated their lives for a decade or more, but what did she see in those guys? What did they see in her? What did they see in each other? I didn't understand why any of them were together, and thus I didn't buy them being together, and thus I didn't care if they were or weren't. And I don't think the movie makers cared either. They were just about the volley, the back and forth of the game, leaving us, or maybe just me, with an elaborately crafted shell around a hollow core. So, of the many things I enjoyed about The Fall Guy, what I enjoyed most is that they didn't do that. Before the movie was over, I knew why Ryan Gosling's Colt Seavers loved Emily Blunt's Jodie Moreno. The movie showed me and not just told me, and I bought that relationship. I cared about it, I was rooting for it, which is important because as much as The Fall Guy is smart and funny and full of action, as much as director David Leitch, former stuntman himself, has made this movie a love letter to stunt people, at its core, The Fall Guy's main question is, do Colt and Jodie get a happy ending? With the mantra of the stunt person being a lesson for their love and lives, you get hit, it hurts, you fall down, you get back up. Could have been a trite message, but I found it, like the movie, sincere and heartfelt. And thus, I fell for it. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Clinton Johnston. My stunt double for the really difficult to say phrases was Mike Friend. Catch up with us at TakeTwoMovieReview.com and feed us back on our channel on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Tom Hartman, and since you're listening to netrootsradio.com, show your progressive side and go to the donate button on the bottom of the homepage. It's progressives like you who power Netroots Radio and keep the progressive message beaming everywhere 24 hours a day. Just go to our donate button at the bottom of netrootsradio.com. Thank you for keeping progressive radio at full power.
Do we still honor people who fought for slavery in the United States? I'm Bill Newman, and this is the Civil Liberties Minute. Among Confederate Civil War heroes are General Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, a leading officer, and Turner Ashby, a cavalry commander killed in battle. During the 1959-1960 school year, the new high school in Quicksburg, Virginia, was named Stonewall Jackson High. The elementary school, also honoring the Confederacy, was named Ashby Lee. Then, in 2020 and 21, after George Floyd's murder, the Shenandoah County School Board changed the high school's name from Stonewall Jackson to Mountain View, and the elementary school's name from Ashby Lee to Honey Run. But then in May 2024, the school board of this 90% white county did a complete U-turn and renamed the high school once again Stonewall Jackson High, and the elementary school once again Ashby Lee. The school board's composition had changed dramatically since 2020, and this school board said it was just implementing the will of the majority by restoring the Confederate names and putting things back the way they had been. The Montgomery, Alabama Equal Justice Initiative reported that this school district appears to be the first to restore Confederate names to schools after their removal in 2020. One distressing question is whether it will be the first of many. The Civil Liberties Minute is made possible by the ACLU because freedom can't protect itself.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. We recently explained the Supreme Court's Purcell principle and its impact. May 15th, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned a shocking Fifth Circuit decision to throw out fairer congressional districts for Louisiana. The Purcell principle apparently played a role. The 2006 Purcell Principle instructed courts not to hand down decisions which would disrupt election administration too close to the election, confusing voters. Louisiana's 2021 racially gerrymandered congressional districts were finally changed in 2024 to include 2 majority black districts in compliance with the Voting Rights Act. April 30th, the Fifth Circuit threw those districts out, 6 months before the election. Democracy groups appealed, and May 15th, the U.S. Supreme Court stayed the Fifth Circuit ruling pending a full appeal. It's likely the case won't be heard until next year, so fairer maps remain in place for the 2024 election. That's good news, sort of. Although the order itself doesn't mention Purcell, dissents from Justices Jackson and Kagan do. Jackson writes, "In my view, Purcell has no role to play here. There's little risk of voter confusion from a new map being imposed this far out from the November election. In fact, we have often denied stays of redistricting orders issued as close or closer to an election. Justices need to figure out how close is too close, and soon. No less than the freedom to vote hangs in the balance." Find out more at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1980. That was the day 4,000 strikers and their supporters gathered for the March for Dignity and Respect in Laurel, Mississippi. Over 200 mostly black women members of the International Chemical Workers Union Local 882 had been on strike against Sanderson Farms chicken processing plant for 15 months. Trade unionists from as far away as Cincinnati, Memphis, and North Carolina came to march in support. Sanderson Farms had cleared $58 million in profit, but paid workers just $3 an hour. The women demanded a contract that included more control over assembly line speed, overtime pay, and insurance. They complained of desperately low wages, inhumane working conditions, and even the inability to use the bathroom when necessary. Workers were given only gloves and an apron once a month, and a file to sharpen their often dull and rusty scissors and knives. They often referred to the processing plant as the plantation, where sexual harassment was rampant. Women workers often found themselves given dangerous assignments or even fired if they didn't put up with sexual advances of their foreman. Workers maintained that strikebreakers from the community were desperately poor and threatened with violence if they quit by local Ku Klux Klansmen who worked as supervisors at the plant. Some were known to have been involved in the murder and or intimidation of civil rights workers in decades past. The plant had been organized in 1972, but was extraordinarily weak. Nonetheless, women strikers understood that the union still served as an invaluable resource in the midst of a largely unorganized South. By the following February, the NLRB ruled that Sanderson had to resume contract negotiations and allow strikers to return to their jobs. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the Chef's Table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy Blue Moon Spirits Fridays, because we are all night hawks in the diner of life. We always begin weather from around the world along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of southern Oregon on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 52 degrees Fahrenheit, expecting highs around 75 to 78, so a tad cooler than what we've experienced in days previous. Partly cloudy skies throughout the day, winds out of the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies overnight with lows in the mid to upper 40s. Winds will be out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then mostly sunny skies over the weekend with highs in the mid to upper 70s, winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then lows overnights once again in the mid to upper 40s. Looks like grass pollen is rated very high once again here in our little town of Rogue River. The air quality index for the region is in the good range at 19 parts per million, and that daytime UV index also remains very high at level 8, so you know to take care. Cover up your skin. Barometric pressure is rising at 30.1 inches. Visibility is up to 10 miles. And relative humidity is at 84%. Weather from around the world is brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world. And that is the Weather Underground. Oh boy, hard to do the weather when you got laryngitis, but we'll muddle through. Our apologies. Looks like the weather station just near the town center in London has been registering 70 degrees and partly cloudy. Paris is 70 degrees and mostly cloudy with a thunderstorm advisory, and boy, do they get them there. Rome is 78 and sunny. Kabul is 62 and cloudy. Hong Kong is 77 degrees and mostly cloudy. Tokyo is 66 and clear. Melbourne, Victoria, Australia is 51 degrees and mostly cloudy. San Francisco, California is 54 degrees and merely cloudy. Chicago, Illinois is 70 degrees and fair. And New York, New York is 67 degrees Fahrenheit and cloudy. And that is weather from around the world, brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world. world desk of Reuters brings us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. A Swedish appeals court upheld a dismissal of Tesla's lawsuit against Sweden's transport agency in a conflict over license plates that is really part of a wider dispute between the U.S. company and labor unions in the Nordic country. The electric vehicle maker faces a wave of union action in the Nordic region, backing Swedish IF Metall's mechanics, who have been on strike since last year, demanding a collective agreement covering wages and other conditions. The unions have, among other things, prevented Tesla from importing cars via Swedish ports and have launched a postal blockade to make access to license plates for new vehicles more difficult. Tesla had sued the transport agency to demand that it ensures access to the plates needed. The Court of Appeal agrees with the district court's assessment that the general court does not have jurisdiction to hear the action brought by Tesla, the court in Gotha, Sweden, said in a statement. Angelo Amonte, working at the world desk of Reuters, brings us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Italy's hard-right league, well, they're really a neo-fascist, let's be clear, okay? Said it wanted to change the law and remove the EU flag from public offices, looking to bolster its Euro-skeptic credentials ahead of EU parliamentary elections next month. League leader Matteo Salvini, whose electoral fortunes have waned in recent years, has dusted off a radical platform to lure Eurosceptic electors and boost support for his party, which is part of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's coalition. Senator Claudio Borghi, a staunch Eurosceptic and a candidate at the European election, said only the Italian national flag should be displayed in front of the offices, along with banners representing the regions. Wow, he must be a jut-jaw kind of guy. Borghi said he would introduce a bill to overturn a 1998 law that requires the EU flag to fly at Italy's public offices, calling it nonsense. The League is part of the radical right identity and democracy group at the EU Parliament, which includes France's Rassemblement National, the National Party, Austria's Freedom Party, and the Alternative for Germany Party, all neo-Nazis. The ID is currently the sixth largest group in the EU Assembly, but latest polls place it in fourth position, slightly behind the Liberals, with the National Party from France expected to make particularly strong gains. The League, which got 34% of the votes at the last EU election in 2019, is now polling at only around 9%, with Meloni's Brothers of Italy party, the most popular group in Italy, with 27%. They're fascists too, replacing it as the leading force on the Italian right. As part of a drive to rekindle the party's fortunes, Salvini has put forward as a candidate Roberto Vanacci, an army general who sparked outrage last year by publishing a book disparaging the LGBTQ community, migrants, minorities, and feminists. Well, That seems to be going around, almost like a worldwide pandemic. You know, we could inoculate ourselves against it. In fact, we already have. Don't you feel the antibodies rising already, surging to make sure this Nazi takeover doesn't take over? Yes, you do. And that means that we got to get to work. And work harder than what we've already been doing. So I know it's the weekend, but we still have our work ahead of us, don't we? Oh, yes, we do. Well, with that stated, we have reached the end of our broadcasting period for the day and the week. But you do know Netroots Radio broadcasts on, and we will meet up here on Monday for River City Hash Mondays. And keeping fingers crossed that maybe my voice will have returned by then. And so, with that stated, why don't you go ahead and stay tuned all day, all night, and all weekend for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we will meet up here on Monday, right here, in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Robe à fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre, comme au long de golfe clair, t'embrasser les yeux ouverts dans mon jardin d'hiver. Pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver.